Just a few short days ago, my brother Ravi celebrated his 50th birthday. 50, wow, half a century. A statistically significant portion of an entire millennium. On the night of our party, he admitted he didn't feel entirely comfortable about the milestone. Like the poet Dylan Thomas, he didn't want to go gently into that good night. He raged against the dying of the light. He tried all sorts of ways to avoid coming to terms with it, saying the kind of things you say in high school, like, "Hey, look at me, I bet I can eat this entire cake without even using a fork and not get sick." At other times, as other people went about their business, he seemed unusually pensive. Now that for better or worse he's reached the crest of his life, though, and begun the long, slow, downward march to oblivion, it's an excellent time to look back at Ravi Munka's life and make sense of the man. Taking a cue from his own love of the scientific method, we decided to do this in the most rational way we could think of. Step 1, we asked people to make a list of words that captured the essence of Ravi in their minds. Step 2, we did a statistical analysis, using the most advanced tools available on the market. And step 3, we picked out the ones we liked and for which we had pictures available. Ravi came into the world with enthusiasm and curiosity on June 10, 1964. This is obviously a little later, but you get the sense of his general attitude toward life's journey. Some of his traits as an adult would be apparent very early on. His libertarian dislike of the regulatory state can be traced back, perhaps, to this period. He drew the eye of discriminating women from an early age as well. He seemed to be a happy child, undeterred by the absence of a few front teeth, and why not? He was adored. He showed an early interest in both daring challenges and in athletics, although it wasn't clear he would succeed at either one, any more than he would ever succeed at growing a mustache. And he began to collect the people who would remain his close friends for life, something I admire him for. There were other things. He traveled to India. He went for a few years to a place called Harvard. If you've hung around him long enough, you've heard about it. And yada, 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 fast forward. First I, then my brother Dilip, then Ravi graduated from medical school, and the future was on. Clearly, some dreams were not destined to come true, but as his adult life began, Ravi must have wondered, as we all did, what kind of man he was ultimately going to be. Zoom to the present, or thereabouts. Ravi has become the archetype and model of the professional family man. He became a successful general surgeon at Virginia Mason Medical Center in Seattle, a stalwart on the staff, the pickup soccer guy on Mercer Island, man about town, equally comfortable in a tuxedo on an elegant occasion, and in gear for a commando raid on what looks like a nature trail somewhere in Idaho. Similar in many ways to James Bond, really. His most important success, then and now, though, has been his success as a father and a family man. He is the ultimate family man, both nuclear and extended, present at all the joyous occasions, as well as the sad and the bittersweet. After a dazzling courtship with Carol, he set to work raising Sarah and Rajas, dealing proactively with all the issues of sibling rivalry. But his sense of family was always inclusive, spreading far beyond his own children, siblings, and parents. And occasionally too far, if you ask me. As an athlete, his talents came to extend far beyond soccer. He kept up with paddle sports, for example, wisely without the mustache. With the bravado of the all-around athlete, he branched out into other sports as well, where most other people would fear to tread. He grew up to be a man with strong opinions, mostly from the Wall Street Journal, who was never so happy as when he was called upon, or thought he was called upon, to share them with others. Unlike many other people with strong opinions, he also became an excellent listener, and could even occasionally learn something from someone else, although this tended to surprise him. So most of the time this worked out well, although a phenomena was known to occur when he got too close to liberal members of the Munca family, creating what those in the nuclear arms community refer to as a critical mass. He became the go-to member of the Munca family to give a speech. You could depend on him not only to be sincere and heartfelt, but to bring in phrases and cadences from Lincoln, Kennedy, and various ancient Greeks. He never passed up the chance to teach something to someone that he felt he knew better than they did. This year, he was awarded the Teacher of the Year award at Virginia Mason Hospital, with a nice bottle of Sauterne to go along with it. And he's very ecumenical. Whenever he saw an opportunities other people might not recognize, he would turn it into a teaching moment. Here he is, teaching Jennifer's dog Echo how to play apples for apples. She was a surprisingly good student. When he tried to teach his own dog Rocky how to raise ghost orchids, less so. Another thing I've always admired Ravi for is his eagerness to take on challenges, to try out things most adults simply wouldn't do anymore if they had ever done them at all. Admittedly, some of the challenges weren't especially difficult, but he did them all with an appealing sincerity and cockiness. Some did involve a real intellectual challenge. Others, well, this one, I don't even know what he's doing, but it seems to involve money, and so I hope he did it well. Some of the challenges were simply ill-advised. As I don't always understand men, it took me a while to understand that evidently the greatest challenge a male faces in the world is building his own shed. Once this is done, he can feel confident as a man. And so, Ravi, you can feel confident as a man. Of all the many hats Ravi wears and roles he plays in his life, the one he seems to excel at the most naturally is guy who's being on vacation. He never seems to be more in his element than when he's basically doing nothing. Hey, and I was just thinking, Ravi, of all the things you do, this one doesn't decline after age 50. In fact, you're probably going to get better and better at this for the rest of your life. And so, we'd just like to thank you, Ravi, for being the man that you are, and for being part of our lives and our extended family. And we'd like to raise a toast to you on your 50th birthday. Everyone, to my brother, Ravi Munca. Happy birthday.